Good morning. Who all out there still this morning? I saw Francisco and Carol. I think Carol had left, she said, till about 10:30, and what time is it? 10:01. I was a little bit late, sorry. I got to reading an email from an old friend and kind of lost track of time. Hope everybody's having a good Saturday so far. It looks like it's going to be a nice day here, and it started out in the 50s, so that's a pleasant surprise well, it should be that September, but it hadn't been the last few years. San Francisco. Francisco, if you're still out there, how's California today? Hopefully your part of the world's not on fire. I don't know if I've ever asked you about that or not. I talk to the Monarch Moments bunch occasionally on here and on the phone, and of course, they live more in the urban or suburban area, and I don't know if it's got down into where they are in that part of the valley or not, but I know they have had fires up there around that area. Hopefully they're not close enough to be too threatened. Well, it is in California, though. I don't know if there's any place that's truly safe if it gets going. I don't know. Miranda, are you in there? I don't think you're on this morning, are you? No, I'm the only one here, it looks like. Let me mute this. It'd probably help if I unmuted my phone or my mic. I really do think I've run everybody off today. Well, one thing, if nobody shows up, I guess I can call it early, and maybe I can go to the motorcycle show. Oh, there's somebody watching, maybe. Or maybe not. Well, good morning, Miss Brenda. Come join me in the show. Says there might be 3 people in here, but I don't think there's anybody here but me and you. And I'm getting tired of messing with that because it didn't accomplish anything. Well, I might as well ask you since you're on here, and I don't have to yell. Or if are you interested in taking me to the bike show if I run out of something to do? Dean, the turkey legster just showed up. Hot dog, Dean, you saved the day, buddy. Are you preparing thyself for work? Good to see you, Dean, as always. Oh, and Dave may be out there too. I know Carol said she'd be back about 10:30. She had to run do something. She dropped by a little bit early. Good morning, Dave. I gotta go back and watch your Fright-tastic Night or whatever it was. Where do they do? Is that in Atlanta? I mean, I saw that it was something about Atlanta, but where do they do that? Ah, that's why you've been around a little bit more. I wasn't sure if last week you just had maybe a day off or something. Rhonda, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Kidneys up here aren't functioning right this morning. I'm sorry, Rhonda. I know the difference, but I don't know why. But my mind went off on a wrong tangent there. My apologies, ma'am. Oh, okay. Well, that makes me feel a tiny bit better. Not a great deal better, but a tiny bit better. Is it cooler in Atlanta this morning? It's 50 up here. I mean, we're a couple of 100 miles north of you, but okay, Dean. Hope everything's all right. Maybe his toast popped up. Maybe George showed up. Netherworld. Yeah, that's what it was called. Is that something the city does, or? Good morning, Miss Dawn. Howdy from Texas. I got a Texas story to tell you in a minute, if you're going to be around. Well, it's a short story. I get maybe, unless we make something out of it. Oh, they taking advantage of the movie trade that's built up down there, maybe. Actually, this is even more than that, Dawn. This is a checking in with the Lynn Project shirt with Animal Kingdom stuff at the top. I like this shirt, though. You know what? I have two reasons I don't wear it. One is I've never really liked, and I really haven't liked in the last, like shirts that do not have a pocket. I'm a pocket tee guy because I've always got glasses or an ink pen to put in there. This doesn't have a pocket. And the other problem with this shirt is it's white, which I would love any other time, but I can't seem to keep anything clean anymore. And I hate to ruin a white t-shirt. And I'm just sure sooner or later I'm going to dump coffee or grape jelly or blueberry pie or something that won't ever come out. Drip a spot of butter on it or drip some grease on it, something that won't come out of forever. And I hate to ruin it. Fairworld.com. Okay, I'll look into that. Rhonda, thanks. I saw him talking about it, but I had never heard of that before. It is. I liked it. And I'll be honest, I liked it because of the Animal Kingdom motif at the top. So, Brenda, say hi to everybody if you're still on here. Dawn's here. Rhonda's here. Dean's around somewhere. Dawn, I found out I've been on a journey of sorts to find some friends of mine that I've lost touch with the last few years, and I found out this week that one of them lives in Denison, Texas. Now I know that's not where you are, but it's not that far from northeast of Fort Worth. So I know you guys are Eastern Texas, I think, but I don't know if you're probably a long way from Denison, but of course in Texas, everything's a long way from everywhere. Yeah, Rhonda, we're in Knoxville, Tennessee, so we're only a couple hundred miles north of you, but today it's only 50. Well, I don't know what it is right this minute. A little while ago, it was only 50. That's sort of what happened in my case, although I blame myself for letting it happen. One of my buddies, I still haven't heard back from, but he's always been a little bit of anti-technology, so I'm not going to be too surprised to find out he doesn't have email anymore since he retired. He retired, and I retired, and we lost contact that way. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're a little bit higher. I mean, we're at the foot of the Smokies, kind of, but there were some areas around here, I think maybe on the plateau, and then actually I know the top of the mountain. I think I saw LeConte was down around 40 last night or night before. After all these fronts blew through, a big cold front dropped down out of cold front, I guess. I kind of hope it stays this way, but I'm not counting on it yet. Well, I found out one of my friends lives in Opal. I believe he lives in Opal, Wyoming. And that's a pretty small place. I think the 2010 census, or maybe might have been 2020 census. I'm not sure. Census. No, it'd probably be 2010. Excuse me. Said there was only about 96 people who lived there, so that fits him. He's a small town kind of guy. Don, did you hear me say that I located an old friend that lives in Denison, Texas now? I thought they lived in Oklahoma, but they've actually moved down. As his wife told me, they crossed the Red River. And she didn't say they moved to Texas. She just said they talked her husband into crossing the Red River or moving south of the Red River. Somehow she put it. It just sounded Texan to me, kind of Westernish to me. Ooh. Panama City Beach is getting too close to the equator for me. We used to think about moving to Florida. I thought about applying for jobs at Disney several times when I was finishing up my degrees and stuff. Good morning, Cherie. I hope you're having a good day. Welcome back, Dean. We thought about moving to Florida a time or two, but I don't know. I don't know if I could stand the heat anymore. I never really liked it all that much before. Now, even less so. Although if I ended up spending the rest of my life in a chair behind the computer desk, I guess it wouldn't really matter. Well, that's a good point. Why would he be going to Thailand? And you don't have to say if you don't want to. Interesting place. Oh, he's from there. Okay. Well, that makes sense then. I had a professor in college that went to Thailand seemed like the University of Tennessee was doing some cooperative research with a university or a group in Thailand. Birthday party. So are you at lunch now, or are you on your break, or Cherie? Well, that's interesting too. I've seen a lot of pictures of Thailand that make it look quite lovely. I think there's a lot of places in that part of the world that probably would be good to see in our lifetimes. I hadn't yawned all morning until I got started talking. Well, happy birthday to your mom, Dean, and happy birthday to your mother-in-law, Cherie. Okay, Rhonda, we'll be here. Hey, Tina, How's Tina this morning? Well, that makes sense. Cherie, we went a long time without seeing most of ours. Are they I assume they must be in the Myrtle Beach area too. Okay. Understandable, Rhonda. I just appreciate you being here at all. So that's quite all right. Well, that's good too. Cherie. I wonder if are they in line or not in line physically, but are they up for the booster shot? I don't know what kind of vaccine they had, but okay, that's handy. So Tina, how is Michigan this morning? How what's the temperature up your way? Hope she's still here. Now that looks insane thing in a minute or two. I must be getting over. Yeah, she's still here. I was telling others, Tina, that's 50 this morning, or when I turned the news on, it was showing 50 on the local TV news. I'm sure it's warmed up some. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful morning or day. If it stays cool, it'll be a really nice day. Sorry about that. If that made a lot of noise on the microphone, I was wiping something off. Ah, well, that's good. Hey, Billy. Always good to see you, ma'am. Any of the Kinsey Days family is always welcome. Maybe I might have, although with you here, I might have. I don't know, how do I say this? I started to say the more intelligent half. Let's just say the better half. And we won't include Kinsey. Oh, your leaves are already changing out there. Our leaves are not changing. They may be up high. But there's Tracy Glenn. Oh. Well, never mind what I said about the better half. Tracy, just to forget I said that. I was just kidding. And what would you be helping Billy do? Should Billy, if he's got the snowblower out, don't do what he says. Keep your hands clear. No, and I'm going to say this one more time. Maybe you're here listening. I know you're probably busy doing other things, but do you know where Denison is? Denison, Texas? Now, you're in New York. I would think your leaves might be starting to turn. That makes Michigan. I just realized I made another mistake. Tina, I think I said Michigan. Did I say Michigan to you? I meant New York. You may be right, Tina, but I thought I'd bring it up. He may be tuning it up and getting it ready for winter. I just know Billy needs to keep her hands away from it. Don't do what Tracy says in that case. Nothing personal, Tracy, just trying to be cautious. Oh, really? Well, I wasn't sure, Don. I just found out an old friend of mine lives there. Now they moved from he teaches in at Southeastern Oklahoma State University in Durant, Oklahoma. His wife apparently been working in down around Denison somewhere for years, so they moved down there a few years back, and now he commutes up back to Oklahoma, and she works locally. That's a good idea, Tracy. But what's everybody else think about that? Sometimes I'd like to move where there is snow. Well, I tell you what, Don, I told. Just so happens my buddy's name's Tim, also this one, and I told him if I can get back on my feet, I'm coming west again, and I'm gonna come by and see him. So now that I know you're not too far from there, maybe we can work that out. I think he said he or his wife one told me that they've got a son and a daughter, and I think one of them lives down towards Fort Worth, and the other one, I believe she said, I think the daughter lives in Austin, which I know is quite a bit further down from you guys. I want to get to there, and I need to go to Wyoming again. My other buddy's in Wyoming, and I haven't gotten a hold of him yet. Well, Cherie, I would say if you're going to visit that family, you should probably contact Kenzie, unless she's not going with them, because she pretty much, does all the coordination and planning. Look to me like, if she doesn't, it had that look to it at times. Nothing, just kidding, Tracy, but you know what I mean. I've had daughters. I know how that works, or I have daughters. Cup number 3. I was kind of waiting for Carol to come back. I was going to tell about my most recent doctor's visits. I know some of you aren't on the, what do we call it? The health chat page, health update page. But I'd promised yesterday that I would talk a little bit today about what my doctors had to say yesterday. And I was kind of waiting to see if Miss Corky, who just got back, was back before I started that story of woe. Well, I guess it's only a story of woe if you let it be, but Teddy is right here. Let me see if he's awake. Hey, bud. You ready? You want to come on the internets? You want to come say hi to everybody? Miss Carol's here. You want to say hi to Carol? Hey, Tell you what, this boy has gotten to be about the laziest thing I ever lived. Say hi. No, Cherie, you hadn't missed anything. I was waiting, but Hey, Turl said hi. I'll have to translate. He doesn't read English as well as, he'd like to make you think. No, you're not chopped liver, Cherie. You want to say hi? Carol says, you're super Teddy. She's got a way too high of opinion of you, my friend. He's had a big week lately. He's been chasing birds and squirrels off the porch some out back, and he's not getting a lot of respect out of him, which doesn't make him too happy. He can't get through the glass door at him. I think that's his biggest problem. You want down? Okay. I guess you heard his opinion on that. There's nobody out there. He's a character, that's all I can say. He's got his chair here, and when I don't have his chair in the right spot, he reaches up and pulls. He gets my attention until I move the chair over. He wants to be right here beside me, but he does not necessarily want me to hold him all the time. So, he's happy just laying there. And that way, I guess if I eat a cracker or something, he can be here to partake. He didn't like the way I was holding him. He lets me know. He's we've been negotiating salary for weeks, and he's just not coming around. Oh, I know who's boss. Trust me, it's not me. In this house, there's Brenda, Chloe, actually probably Brenda and Spooky, then Chloe, Simon and Teddy, and Tim. It's at the bottom of the list. And the only reason I don't have to do everything is because I can't do everything. Otherwise, I'd be in deep trouble. And Brenda may not be listening right now, so she won't have to agree or disagree. So anyway, let's just get down to the harder part of this matter. I'm Wounded Bear this week, as you've noticed. Some of you know I change my name every week and try to stay relevant to what the circumstances are. I'm Tennessee Bear most of the time, but it alters a little bit. Oh, I'll be glad to tell her. She may be still reading chat, Cherie. She was, we've talked about it too. We were so glad to meet you guys. It was a nice visit. Very nice. At least we thought so. And not to mention the pie was good. Anyway, I've had dental visits this week, and I've had doctor visits, and I'm going to get these broken teeth fixed in the near future, but that has taken probably longer than I'd like for it to, and will probably take a little bit longer to actually get fixed. So if you see me in here wearing a COVID mask all the time, you'll know it's probably because I don't have any front teeth. I thought about doing like a Ernest T. Bass and get all the front ones knocked out and then put one big gold one right in the middle. What do you think? Would that attract attention? I'm not really trying to get a girl. Ernest T. was trying to attract one. I can't remember which girl he was trying to get tracked, but he thought a gold tooth right in the middle would be. Have you ever used Tom meeting you too? Hey, Pearl. What do you mean, Brenda? Sorry that all came out. Yeah, I thought something wasn't right. It was very nice meeting you too. Oh, I do too, Cherie, and I meant to, and I had my camera and stuff with me. And I didn't get them out of the car. I think shied myself right out of doing that. I was afraid it wouldn't work. I couldn't work it right or something, and I didn't get it out. And but she's listening, Cherie, so she just, hopefully you saw her response. Anyway, I've got to get that done, and I'm not thrilled about that, but I knew that was coming. Up until just a few years ago, I had really good teeth, and doctors were I went, that's not a proud thing necessarily, but in my case, it worked out. I went 20 something years without even seeing a dentist and had no cavities, had no problems other than when I was a child. And the dentist was kind of surprised. Hey, Dave, you are here now. See, I mistook you for Rhonda earlier, and I was asking her about the place you went last night, and she finally had to correct me and say, I'm not Dave, I'm Rhonda. I did not know Howard Morris did Gopher's voice. I should have paid more attention to that. I do know that Howard Morris was actually kind of a genius. He was also the producer / director or something on Mayberry all those years too. He was in either 6 or 9 episodes on Andy Griffith, and of course is one of the more famous characters if you're an Andy Griffith fan. Pardon me, guys. I have a drippy nose. Okay, so the teeth thing's going to happen, and that's going to be no fun. But once it's all said and done, maybe I'll have a smile back that I'm not ashamed of. Because what I learned, what I was going to say was I went all those years and didn't have any tooth problems. And the dentist looked at them first time I did go back, and he said, wow, he said, your teeth are in good shape. I said, well, I told him how long it'd been. He said, wow, that's good, I guess. And but then the last few years they went to hell in a handbasket, so to speak. And I learned that part of that, or maybe most of that, is probably because of being on narcotics for 10 years or better. Ernest T. Bass, yes, Cherie, Ernest T. Bass. Anyway, that tends to dry your mouth out a lot, and that dry mouth, I didn't know until a few years ago, but dry mouth really affects tooth decay, and it's not good for you. So now I've got to, get my teeth all fixed, and they're breaking and cracking and doing stupid things that a few years ago they weren't doing at all. That's probably it, Tina. Actually, I think that has something to do with it, but I wasn't going to say that. That's just my conspiracy theory, that the dentist probably put something in my mouth to get me in there a lot more often. I did. I mean, I went for years with no teeth problems at all, and then all of a sudden I just can't. They've just gone to pieces. So now I got to get them fixed. So yeah, it could be a dental conspiracy because now it's costing me a lot of money. Maybe I should have just stayed away the rest of my life. I had a dentist 40 years ago tell me that part of my teeth were cleaner because I chewed tobacco, actually. I think the thought was it kept plaque off of them and that sort of thing. And I don't know, maybe he was right. I saw a lot of old men with old teeth that chewed tobacco all my life, but I'm not sure if that's what got them or not. Anyway, so then I went, then yesterday I had finally got an appointment, or finally, the appointment finally got here. It took me a while to get it, but then it took a while to be the day that I got to go see yes, if you can't find it, Tina, I'll dig it up here and put it in. If Brenda doesn't, I don't know. Well, actually, I don't know if I'd have to make her a mod. I could make her a mod. So I got to go see the orthopedic surgeon or doctor, specialist, and surgeon, turns out, yesterday. And he's the same guy I saw about my knee a couple of months ago. And he told me my knee was wrecked then, but he doesn't want to operate. My BMI is too high or whatever. Of course, I'm too fat in a nutshell. And so we're doing steroid shots and that until I lose some more weight. But yesterday, I went to see him about my hip and the pain in my upper leg and all that stuff. And I don't know if I told this online, but I had MRIs done about a month ago or so. And they got that report back, and the doctor did, and my doctor did. And she said there was so much in it that she actually laid down the report and called the radiologist, I guess, or the specialist that interpreted the images and got the report. So basically what it amounted to was I've got some torn muscles and some torn ligaments and some couple of small hernias in the muscle down there somewhere, and just all kinds of fiddly bits like that. And what I learned yesterday was there's not anything they can do about it. And basically, now the knee eventually they can fix, but the hip joint is not my problem. It's the muscles, the muscle damage, the ligament damage. I've got a torn muscle in my hip. I've got one in my upper thigh. I've got some other ones in my hamstring area. I've got some ligaments that are torn or ripped or somehow damaged in, I guess, those areas. And what else do I have? And, he basically said there's no surgeries that can fix that stuff. He said, you're probably just going to have to deal with it. And he is wanting me to go back to for some new therapy, different PT, where they can work on those muscles and try to cool and calm them down, so to speak, so the pain may not be as intense unless I do something and probably get them angry at me again. Let me see if I can get Brenda while we're talking. Let me see if I can pull Brenda's up. Sometimes I can do two things at once. Or Brenda, if you're still watching, let me see. I can make you a moderator, I think. And no. Maybe not. Okay, that's something. I'm in over my head. Okay, I'm gonna wait. So anyway, I'm a mess. And he looked at me and he said, "You're a wreck." Basically, he said, "You're a mess." It's a mess. I said, "No, pardon my language, folks, but I'm not sure if I said this out loud or not." Brenda was proud that I didn't flip him a bird. But my mind, I was thinking, "No shit, Sherlock. I could have told you that." And I said, I did say, yeah, I knew that. That's why I'm here. And I don't know. I guess we'll try some more therapy and see if they can ease it up. But it sounds like I'm going to have to live with it. So, needless to say, that wounded bears are angry bears, and I'm a little bit. I guess I'm angry. I'm a bit depressed, and life's just not. Retirement's not turning out like I'd hoped it would. And I asked him, what his opinion was on why he grandma dipped snuff. Yeah. My grandma had a lot of snuff jars around her house, but I'm not sure if she was the dipper or if somebody else did that, got them for her. Oh crap, I lost track. I don't know what I was saying. I can't quit chasing every rabbit I see. Oh, I know. I asked him what he thought might have caused it. I mean, just to get his professional opinion. Yeah, well, I think orthopedic doctors tend to be, if they're not stupid, they're arrogant and a-holes. Again, pardon my language this morning. I'm, a little bit testy about it. But actually, yesterday he was probably as nice as he's ever been. I mean, my experience with orthopedic people usually is, well, if you'd lose weight, you'd be okay, kind of thing. Even when you weren't skinny, you weren't that heavy before. I mean, anyway, that's usually the first thing out of their mouth. Yesterday, it wasn't. I was surprised. I mean, we did get around to it, but yeah, I'm an angry bear, I guess. Wounded bears tend to be angry bears. I just didn't put angry in there. I'm mad at myself. I'm mad at the world in a way. I mean, it's like I said, it's not how I wanted retirement to go. I had plans. My motorcycle was sitting out there in the garage waiting on me to get back, and I don't know if I'm going to get back on. I mean, I want to get back on it, and I'm going to do the therapy, and I'm going to try to keep rebuilding my leg, but I'm just not sure it's ever going to be right. And it won't ever be right. He told me that. He said it's never going to be all better. It's just these things are. I don't know what they do when I just divorced my doctor because she believed my chronic pain was all due to my depression diagnosis. I'm finding a new. I don't blame you for that, Pearl. That's BS, and you know it. I mean, not that I would be the first one to admit that depression doesn't help it, but the chronic pain usually causes a depression, not the other way around. At least that's been my experience. And, I'm not at the absolute bottom of the pit yet or anything like that. I'm not suicidal or anything like that, but I'm not happy about it. I'm going to try to get back to, I'll get to the therapist now and I'll see what they've got to offer. He thought maybe some ultrasonic therapy and some, there's maybe it is infrared, but there's a way they can heat up, the inside of your. Well, I'm frustrated bear too. That's true, but you know how I feel about it. She, like I said, she was proud I didn't flip the guy off yesterday, so I told her I might before it was over with. But I thought about it. But like I said, he was probably as nice yesterday as he's ever been to me. Me and orthopedic surgeons haven't gotten along good since my back. I originally damaged my back, so I don't know. Exactly, Pearl. I've told people that for years. And for some reason, even my doctors don't seem to totally understand it. I mean, I think my main doctor, is sympathetic about it, and she knows I'm tired of the pain. But, she's also the one that took me off pain pills too. But not pain pills weren't the answer. I realize that. But, when you've got a physical problem and you just can't seem to fix, then it's hard. I feel sorry for anybody. I used to tell people that even my worst enemies I would not wish my back problems on, and that was before I had the serious back problem this past year of the pinched spinal cord. My lower 3 discs and my back are degenerated to the point where it's just pretty much 3 vertebrae stacked on top of each other with little or nothing between them. That means a lot. I know of a guy yesterday who had a disc replaced. He lives in California, and he actually had a doctor out there replace the degenerated disc. And he got an inch or a half inch back in height just by putting those discs in. I used to be about 5'9", pushing 5'10", and now I'm 5'7" or so. So I'd like to get those 2 or 3 inches back. But what else did somebody say? One of my pet peeves: doctors are way too quick to throw a pill at you. And then, yeah, I mean, I won't deny that too, Tina. But right now, the way things have gone in the last few years with drug issues and opioid addiction and that sort of thing, they won't even throw that pill at you anymore. I mean, I don't necessarily want to be dependent upon painkillers the rest of my life either. But I've been there, and I took them for 10 years, and I came off of them. And while my body was dependent upon them, I admit and know I wasn't hooked on them. I wasn't out, beating up cabbies for their cab fares to buy pills. But I still can't get them, and I can't get them from my pain because other people have problems. And they've passed so many laws to restrict that stuff now in most states, I know, but Tennessee has gotten really bad. Tennessee had a lot of pain mill problem or pill mill problems, and I understand that too. But, at least once in a while, if you're not in pain all the time, it does make you want to do things better. I agree, Pearl, but when the problem can't be fixed or doesn't seem to be fixable, then, every once in a while it'd be nice just to have a little bit of relief. I know most people don't want pain pills, and like I said, I don't want them either necessarily, but I'm lucky in that I've been able to deal with them and not have the other issues that come along with them. And so, I'd rather have a pain pill right now than be miserable all the time. Hey, Leanne Sherbick, you got here just in time to hear the tail end of my tales of woe. I was just telling everybody how my orthopedic doctor yesterday told me I'm SOL on getting my leg fixed because I've got torn muscles and torn ligaments and too many things to fix. He said, "You're basically a mess." And I said, "Yeah, no kidding." Well, that's what I said. In my mind, I thought, something else, but perhaps someone else who could tell me different, but this has gone past the neuro part of my life. Yeah, we're doing Dr. Rants. That's true. Every once in a while, you got to talk about them because, my God, they take all your money and then they don't necessarily give you a solution, which they're not God. I realize they can't fix everything, but, I hear about athletes and stuff having torn muscles and torn things, and they seem to fix theirs. I just wonder what they do, but then again, I don't have the money they've got. Oh, I know, Tina. I mean, I was on them for 10 years or more, 10 or 12 years. I was on morphine. I was on Percocet. I had, that was the two main things I took. And an occasional hydrocodone mixed in there when I couldn't get Percocets. But so I know how they work and I know what they do. And that's one of the reasons I did come off of them when I did, because I didn't want to keep adding to them. But now that I don't have them, because I've been off of them for several years, and now that I know I've got some issues that aren't going to be fixable and are probably going to be painful, I just about take them. I mean, at some point I got to get back to living. I've don't judge, but I've seriously considered cannabis. I mean, if I lived in California or Colorado, I'd probably give it a try, or at least chewables or edibles. See, I'd have to even know what to go in and ask for. Yeah, well, they make one for an upper thigh muscle. I mean, I've got a torn hip muscle, a torn thigh muscle, some torn hamstring issues, and then other numerous problems that are too trivial to name. Oh, well, that's cool, Dawn. That would be somebody. There's a couple of really good guys out. Am I frozen? No, I'm working. I just stopped for a minute. There's some really good doctors around the country that fix athletes, that do stuff for motorcycle racers and people like that have, serious injuries to muscles, tendons, and bones. And, they can, I said that the California doctor, that fixed that guy I know this week out in California, they put a disc in. And I've been hearing about disc replacements for years, but nobody back here seems to want to talk about that. I've asked about it. I could use 3 discs in my lower back and probably ease a whole lot of my lower back problems. He surmised that it's probably from the falls I took. I took some nasty falls. You guys may or may not remember. I wasn't online as much then, but I took 2 or 3 really hard falls. One of them, I went tumbling down the sidewalk and rolled through the yard and just went ass over tea kettle. Excuse me, my mouth. I got potty mouth this morning. That usually happens when I'm upset. And it could have been that. I took a couple of falls here on steps and stairs, and I fell one time or maybe twice before I got my back surgery, where I got trapped, wedged in between the bed and the wall, and the bathtub once, where I got twisted around really bad and couldn't get out. And so I don't know how long, and I don't know how long these things have been this way. I'm just now getting enough feeling back over the past couple of months that I now feel these things, I believe, because I certainly haven't done anything recently that would have torn them. Oh, trust me, Pearl, that's not. I'm really am controlling part of it. The only person on here that can probably outcuss me might be Leanne Sherbick, and that's just we've never put it to the test, but she and I might run a close race. But nothing personal, Leanne. I'm just being honest. And you know I love you, so don't, it's not personal. For some of us, it's a point of pride, I guess. But that's just my life right now. So that's it in a nutshell. I hadn't really said anything about it yet because I was waiting. I thought I'd just talk about it today rather than send it out. Well, I try to, Pearl. Sometimes it escapes me. I thought I did really well when I was going to school and college to keep it under control, because that was after 20 years of airplane mechanics. And the only thing it might be worse than or close to a cousin like a Marine or a sailor is probably an aircraft mechanic. Hey, Ashley, welcome in. Well, I'm going to make you watch the replay to get the health update, but basically my leg's a mess and I can't get it fixed. So I'm wounded, frustrated, angry bear today. What was this our dream up to today? Are they just in the parks, or are they doing something really crazy, like trying to beat Joey at eating Oreos or M&Ms or something, which ain't never going to work? So, as I was telling some of you, I've gotten back to trying to locate some friends that I've lost track of. And I've gotten in touch with one. Oh, Animal Kingdom. I wish I was in Animal Kingdom today. But you're never late. You're always welcome. So if you got it, pour up a cup of coffee. If you don't drink it, then the beverage is your choice. I have another beverage here. I asked him, I did, Leanne, maybe you can add to this or take away, but I asked the doctor yesterday if he thought Irish whiskey would help. And he said it might help, but it probably wouldn't fix it. You have an opinion on that? I'm going to attempt something here, and I hope. Hey, Dave, welcome in. You got here sort of just in time. I just finished talking about health issues. I want to let you run back and watch the replay on some of that. Irish whiskey cures a lot. Yes, he told me, he laughed and said it probably help. It might not fix it, but it might help. So I'm going to take him up on that. Hey, Kay. Good morning, ma'am. Good to see you. How are you holding up? I hope well, or better, at least. And I'll shut my yap long enough to let you answer. Teddy's with us today, but he's sound asleep. He's breathing though, so I know he's alive. I may have to change times. I mean, this just seems to be a nap time for him, and I can't seem to quite change his habits. He is a true cat now. If there's ever a cat alive that sleeps 20 out of 24 hours a day, it's him. Okay, I'm sorry. It's going to be rough, I know, and I don't mean to bring it up or touch a sore subject, but I know you're having a rough time. Oh, thought I had a message there. I'm sorry. It wasn't important. Is there still more to do, Kay? I mean, Kay, I don't know how to ask this. I don't want to stir up bad feelings, and I know everybody in here has had words or talked to you about what's going on, and you're a much loved part of the family. So I'm not trying to be insensitive, but if you had a memorial service, are there more things like that that are going to be tough, or is it down to, for lack of a better way of saying it, cleaning up what's left and taking care of that kind of the business end of someone's life, which is a terrible way to wrap it up, I think. I mean, I may have to write about that sometime. I think there's some serious thinking in there, which is another thing I've been thinking about. I'm thinking about writing somebody suggested I try to write down some, maybe that was last week in here, actually. I can't remember if it was in here, I was talking to Garrett from Monarch Moments, and somebody suggested I start writing down some of my life stories. I think I'm going to do some of that. I'm not sure in the end if it's going to be worth reading, but I might give it a try. I may have to embellish a little bit. And speaking of embellish, I'm going to do a little something today that I hope doesn't run everybody off. And I've got several people in here right now. I'm quite proud that I have several people in here right now. And maybe everybody came from my bad news, but anyway, it's bad news. It's good news. It's just news. Nothing I can do about it. I got to get better. I mean, I got to work on it, get back in therapy. And I used to write, actually, Carkey, I used to write a lot. I've got a lot of stories scattered about. I unfortunately lost some of them in a hard drive crash that I've never tried to rewrite. I was working on some stuff. And then I had a big, long, dry spell. Very prolonged episode of writer's block when things just wouldn't come again. So I'm working on that. I'm reading more again. I'm doing more stuff that might lead me to that. But that has brought me up to this. If you saw, I think we're downhill from here. How do I do this? How can I? Okay, guys, you guys know I have to relearn every time I'm on here. Yeah, I do. Okay, I know exactly how that works. I lost my dad last year, and while I've mourned to a large degree, I still feel like one of these days it's going to all creep up on me and knock me down real hard again. Yeah, I mean, in my case, I had some time to prepare for my mom and my dad. I knew it was coming, but it still doesn't make it easier. In a case like yours, it's tragic and sudden, and it's one of those things that apparently is almost always unexpected, or at least in most cases. And I don't think there's anything easy about that, or ever will be. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna try to veer off that for a minute. Please don't take that wrong, Kay. I don't want to make it worse by talking about it. If you saw my thumbnail this morning, you saw a picture of this book, A Fine and Pleasant Memory by Patrrick F. McManus. Now, Patrrick McManus was one of my favorite writers. He wrote comedy, sort of. He wrote about growing up, but he embellished enough that we think he embellished, he may not have, that it was extremely funny. And I highly recommend any of his books you can get your hands on. But I thought that I would try to take a few minutes this morning and give you guys a proper introduction to Mr. McManus and some of his early writings. I thought I would read first an acknowledgement in this book. Fine and Pleasant Misery was not his first book. He actually wrote Kid Camping A to Zip, and that's not really available right now. And I'm not even sure that was a full book after going back, because some places still consider this his first book. And but I've been talking to people a little bit about this, and like I said, I'm getting back to some of my roots, and this is definitely one of those things that I've found in my life that puts a smile on my face and a chuckle in my heart for sure. Brenda even read these books. She's never necessarily been an outdoorsy reader. I read a lot of what I call outdoor philosophy, canoe philosophy, back trail philosophy, that sort of stuff in my lifetime. I've got some favorite authors I'd be more than happy to turn you on to someday, and I have talked about them a little bit. So if you'll bear with me and can understand my hillbilly accent, I'm going to read just a little bit from this book and give you an idea of who Pat McManus was. I do want to do one thing before that. I did find out one thing. And that was a sad thing to learn, but some of his books are in audiobooks too, by the way. And I didn't realize it. He wrote these outdoors books, these books about when he was growing up, but then he also wrote either 4 or 6 detective sort of novels that are funny as heck too. Brenda and I are currently listening to the first one on audio, and we're in the car, and so far he's very subtle. His humor is very subtle. You got to pay attention to catch some of it, but it is also hilarious when you put it together. What I did not know was that he'd passed away on April 11th of 2018. He was born in 1933, so he was basically the same age as my mother. My mother was born in 33, but he died in 18. She died in 15. But he apparently had declined, and he'd actually quit writing in 2014. Oh, you are, Carol. Is that the first book? Because that may be the one Brenda and I are also listening to. I can't remember the name of it. I'd have to look on my phone. So far, his old man, Pap's hilarious. Oh, is Cherie leaving? Okay, Cherie, thanks for coming in. If you're still out there listening, I hope you guys have a decent day. And I've already forgotten what you've got to do today. Oh, you're going to a birthday party, so have a great day, Cherie. Tell your mother-in-law we all said howdy and happy birthday. Tell her you just happen to know a bear and he said howdy. That may be the one we're listening to. Yeah, it is. That's his first detective book. Now, that's really different from this one. Yeah, that's it, Carol. I just looked it up on my phone. What do you think so far? Give me an honest opinion. And while you're thinking about that, I'm gonna read this introduction, and it's a couple pages long, so bear with. And I'm going to do my best. Now, I used to do readings out loud to people, believe it or not. Years ago, that was my job in the teepee at night when we were camping and living in the teepee at times, or staying in the teepee, was usually to take a book along with us, and I'd be reading something like Native American stories of Native American culture. I'm trying to think of the right word. Their oral histories of stories they told. Yeah, it is very subtle. Now, these books aren't quite as subtle, okay, Carol. But if you've read these, if you never read these books, then that book, I believe, some of the stuff would click in the humor. So anyway, this introduction was written by one of the editors that signed Pat to originally write some of his stories for Field and Stream magazine. And I think he also wrote for I thought he finished up his career writing for Outdoor Life, but I may be wrong about that. And he was a teacher at Washington State University or Eastern Washington State University or college. Now it's Eastern Washington University. So that's where he finished up his career. His wife's name was Bun, and as far as I know, she's still out there, and he had 4 daughters. I looked up his webpage, and they had sold off all of his. He had T-shirts and books and things like that I wish I could have gotten my hands on. And unfortunately, they were all gone. They had put a note in there that they were shutting it down finally, and that all his stuff was gone and had been sold, which is I'm glad they were able to do that. And but anyway, let me read a little bit of this. I guess Pat McManus sort of sneaked up on me. I've been editing his stories for a couple of years from back around 1970, and I really didn't read Pat that much. Sometimes an editor is too busy editing to settle down and really enjoy the material. Oh, I knew he was good, and everyone on the staff kept telling me how funny he was. And there was the constant flow of reader mail demanding more of McManus and Field and Stream. A typical reader letter would go something like, "My husband and son have been subscribing to your magazine for years because they're both ardent hunters and fishermen, but I never heard it because I am a golfer. I never read it because I'm a golfer. But the other day I happened to read a story in Field and Stream by Patrrick McManus. He is really funny. I think he is a riot. Now when the magazine comes in, I look for McManus before I give the magazine to my husband or son." More, signed Mrs. So-and-so. Then one day, one of Pat's stories came in, and I was not bogged down in some administrative chore. I put my feet up on the desk and began to read. The story was called "A Dog for All Seasons," which is in this book. And by the time I had gotten to the 3rd page, I was literally doubled over. My secretary said she had never in all those years heard me laugh so hard, or for so long. The more I read, the funnier McManus became. The damn dog, which he had as a kid and which you will read about in this collection of his best stories, was called Strange. His name in the beginning had been Stranger, wrote McManus, in the faint hope that he was just passing through when they first saw him. Strange was the most wonderful of all dogs, a mutt with no redeeming features. According to Pat, the dog had only 2 chores around his house: to attack prowlers, especially those whose character bore the slightest resemblance to his own, and to protect the chickens. On the second point, Strange always thought it was the other way around. He was also constantly making snide remarks about Pat's grandmother's cooking. He insisted on following McManus when he went hunting and fishing. Sometimes Pat claims he tried to prevent this. An army of Cossacks could have been bivouacked on our front lawn for the night without his knowing a thing about it, Pat wrote. But he could hear the sound of a shotgun shell being dropped into a flannel shirt pocket at 100 yards. Strange made slightly less noise going through the woods than an armored division through a bamboo jungle. Nevertheless, says Pat, they usually managed to get a few birds, apparently because the birds thought that anything that made that much noise couldn't possibly be hunting. My dog, says McManus, was Strange, believed in a mixed bag: grouse, ducks, pheasants, rabbits, squirrels, chipmunks, gophers, skunks, and porcupines. If we saw a cow or a horse, he would shout, "There's a big one, shoot, shoot." Well, by now, I'm sure you see what I mean about McManus and his sneaking up on you. I quickly did 3 things: wiped the tears from my eyes, called Pat at his home in Spokane, Washington, and offered him a full-time job as an associate editor of Field and Stream. I've never been sorry, and I'm delighted the editors of my competing outdoor magazines were just enough dumber than I was about how funny Pat is. No, I did 4 things, come to think of it. I dug up all the back issues I could find in the office for which Pat had written and took them all home with me that night. I read every one of them, and my wife was so annoyed at me for completely ignoring her that she went to have dinner with her sister. I never knew she was gone until she returned home about midnight to find me sleeping on the den couch, a delighted smile still on my face. A number of you reading this will remember the great American humorist Robert Bensley. I do remember Bensley, but I don't remember a lot about his writing, or this one anyway. His son is the one that wrote Jaws. Well, he'll tell that. You younger readers may not, but you sure missed a funny man if you never read anything he wrote. He used to write for all sorts of magazines, especially the New Yorker. He also wrote books, and I guess a lot of his talent was inherited by his kids because a couple of them also write, including his son Peter, who wrote Jaws. Peter Bensley wrote Jaws. Well, Pat McManus is the Bob Bensley of the outdoors. When I heard my close friend and associate Ed Zern say he thought Pat was one of the funniest writers he had ever read, I knew we had a winner, because Ed of Exit Laughing fame in Field and Stream has gone to be one of the deans of outdoor humor. We all have our favorite McManus stories, and I guess mine, along with The Dog for All Seasons, is the Modified Stationary Panic, which also happens to be one of our favorites, mine and Brenda's. It's also found in this collection, which I have had the pleasure and privilege of editing. Pat was off on his own cloud nine about how easy it is to get lost in the woods and how the experts on survival caution everyone not to panic. And Pat disagrees with this theory. He feels if one gets lost, he or she should, especially if they are a panicker, as is Pat, get the panic out of your system all at once. Kind of makes sense. He claims that holding panic in may cause severe psychological disorders and even stomach cramps and baldness. Over the years, Pat says he has been involved in several dozen panics, usually as a participant, sometimes simply as an observer. Most of my panics have been of a solitary nature, he says, but on several occasions I have organized and led group panics, one of which involved 20-some people. In that instance, a utility company took advantage of the swath we cut through the forest to build a power line along it. Pat says back in the early days of his panicking, he utilized what he refers to as the full-bore linear panic, or FBLP. This is where you run flat out in a straight line until the course of your panic is deflected by a large rock or tree, after which you get up and sprint off in a new direction. One time when we were kids, says Pat, my friend Rich and I panicked right through a logging crew, and the loggers dropped what they were doing and ran along with us under the impression we were being pursued by something. When they found out all we were doing was panicking, they fell back cursing and returned to their work. Can't say I've been there or done that, but I get the idea. I sure hope everybody hadn't left. I do. This guy's really worth reading, so I hope you bear with me. I mean, we hadn't actually got to his stuff yet, but you get the idea, I hope. Nowadays, Pat says he will advise against undertaking a full-bore linear panic, unless, of course, one is equipped with a stout heart, a 3-day supply of food, and a valid passport, because you never know where you're going to end up. Only McManus could have thought up the great cow plot also contained in this collection. All of us have been harassed by cows while fly fishing for trout, but nobody but Pat could have realized the cows had gotten together and planned the war against us. Biologists and science fiction buffs have speculated about the Earth's takeover by the insect world, but Pat suggests perhaps the bovine species poses a far greater threat. Even when he plans a fishing trip 40 miles back into the wilderness, he says a herd of cows usually will get wind of it and go on a forced march to get there before Pat does. If you ever grew up in the country and had to hike back to the pond or a creek to go fishing, you probably kind of know what that's all about. If I was on the 19th floor department store and stopped to get a guppy out of an aquarium, he says, a cow would get off the elevator and rush over to offer advice. Beginning to see what I'm talking about? McManus is not only funny, there are more than a few suspicions around Field and Stream editorial offices that just maybe Pat ain't wrapped all that tight. And I wondered about that too. But if he has come unglued, let's all hope he stays that way. There is altogether too little humor in the outdoor field. What with all the protectionists telling us we are responsible for every endangered species, from Arizona pupfish to the California condor, we could use a few laughs, those of us who love the outdoors. I'm not sure how to take that last line, or last paragraph, but I'm going to work on that. I think what he's trying to say is that those things are important, but they kind of weigh us down. So every once in a while, it's good to laugh. Like a great many fine writers, Pat went into newspaper work upon graduation from Washington State University in 1956. Also, he has been a television reporter, and later an English teacher. I can't imagine this guy being an English teacher. He earned an MA in English from his alma mater in 1962 and now teaches at Eastern Washington University with the rank of professor. But it is early life that prepared him for his outdoor writing. Excuse me. Oh, my coffee warmer went off. He was born and raised in Idaho, where his mother was a school teacher. He grew up on a small farm with a creek running through it, like the creek ran through so many of his stories. He writes about the outdoors well because he has done a number of things in it besides fish, camp, and hunt. He's been in heavy construction work, a truck driver, a high scaler, grease monkey, and a ground man for a power line construction crew. You will never forget his cast of characters, from his boyhood pal Wretch, his mentor old Rancy Crabtree, Grogan of War Surplus fame, Grandma, and least of all Strange, the dog with no redeeming features. Look out, world, here comes Pat McManus. And that was written by Jack Sampson, who at that time was editor of Field and Stream. Now, this book was printed in 81, looks like. That was the first edition. Man, that's probably when this one came out. And I don't know, I probably started reading his books about that same time. A friend of mine, my buddy Mark, whom I'm kind of looking for right now, lives in Wyoming. I think either he and I discovered Pat. Oh, actually, he knew about Pat from reading one of the magazines stories, and I've learned about Pat by listening to the guy that used to read books on the radio for National Public Radio out of Michigan State, actually. Carol, I don't know, can't think of his name. You may or may not have ever heard of him, but Dick Estelle. Dick Estelle was his name. And he read books, and I believe he read They Shoot Canoes, Don't They? Which is another one of Pat's books, second or third one in this list. And that's what turned me on to him. And I started reading them, and I bought most of his books that were available at that time. That was before he ever wrote the detective novels, and finished out this season. So anyway, that's the introduction. That's not a story. I thought about reading the first chapter in the book, which is the first story, and then there's the Dog of All Seasons. I'm not sure what you think about that. I don't want to, again, I'm not trying to bore everybody to tears. I know this is maybe not what you signed in for today, but I feel so strongly that this guy's humor. Oh, I'm sorry, Carol. I can't help it. I think it was Michigan. It could have been Michigan. I mean, I'm not sure. It's been so long ago that I can't remember now so maybe he was at Michigan. Why don't we say that until I know different, and then you can be my friend again. Because I'm not taking, I'm not saying that one's better than the other. I'm just saying I think that's where he was from. So anyway, I need to, if I do read a little bit more, I need to get some coffee in me because my throat's parched. But I do understand, Carol. Down where I'm from, if you're a college football fan and you're a Southeastern Conference fan, but that has its own pitfalls and morals. I mean, there's so many rivalries in this conference in this part of the country, and since some people down here worship football, it kind of some of the it's like if you live in Alabama, you have to be an Alabama fan or an Auburn fan. You can't be both. And most of the time they don't get along well. If you live in Tennessee, you can't really be an Alabama fan because Well, that used to be a huge rivalry. It's not much anymore. Tennessee hadn't won one in ages. But anyway, that's football talk. Okay, Tina, remind me why you're on pins and needles, because I think I know, but right now my mind's mushy and I can't remember. How many people did I lose in that little escapade? Oh, still have some. According to this, there's some people listening. And maybe everybody's not talking, but at least they're still around, maybe. Oh, now it's down to 11, so I lost another one. But I was thinking about reading some of those stories and just putting them out there for... Yeah, Kay, that's true. I don't particularly like either one of them because they're from Carolina, but I think I'd rather see South Carolina win. I'm not a big Clemson fan. I don't have any good reasons, but I'm not. I used to work with a guy who was a quarterback for Clemson. The year they won the National Football Championship, before the recent run of winnings and stuff. I don't know if he was. He wasn't a starting quarterback, but he was quarterback on the team. I'm not sure what year that was. Tennessee plays out. No, we're playing Florida today at the Swamp, so that's going to be bad. I'm pretty sure. They're hard to beat down there, even on a bad year. Oh, that sounds fun and bad, Pearl. Don't feel like you are obligated to hang around. I appreciate you and love you for being here, but I totally understand if you need to go stretch out or something. Trust me, I get it. I get miserable sometimes sitting here. That hip muscle that's torn becomes a real pain in my keister at times. Let's just put it that way. I know. I got you, I got you, Tina. I may have known that, but I may have forgotten. Seems like I did know part of that, and so forgive me for not remembering. And I hope some of that works out. I do know some of how you feel. I get that. Those two things in combination don't help each other whatsoever. 81. Well, was there one before that, Kay? Because I was thinking it might be more than that, a little bit more than that, because he retired before I did. Of course, he'd been there a lot longer than I had too, so he might not have been. We might have been closer in age than I realized. Well, Pearl, please don't feel obligated. I could send you a link and just let you come on with the microphone. I need to do that someday anyway. I usually don't try to invite people that are on out West Coast because I don't want them to have to get up so early. And you've already done that, so if you're like, I was up at 5 this morning. Now I used to get up at 5 a lot, about every day, in fact, but I don't do that much anymore. Hell, some mornings I'm lucky if I'm in bed by 5, or asleep. But I woke up this morning hurting and couldn't get comfortable, so I was awake, and I laid there and tossed and turned and tried to find music to listen to. I listen to music at night on YouTube a lot on my TV, and I actually enjoy that quite a bit. I found some other history stuff that I love to watch or listen to when it's on, and sometimes it puts me to sleep, and I used to think that was a bad thing, but now it calms me and settles me, and I love history, so I just let it go. If it puts me to sleep, I'll just listen to it again later. 81, 16, 18. Well, maybe it was 81 then. Maybe he was, how old would that have made him? 80, 20. No, it had maybe they weren't champions that year, but maybe they were ACC. I don't know. I know you are talking about Clemson, right? Yeah, well, South Carolina wasn't national champions in 18 or 16. I know that. So yeah. Well, Tina, if I'm a good distraction for you, then hang on to your hat, because if I ain't good for nothing else, I'm usually good for that. I'm a Class A #1 grade A American distractor for sure. Yeah, that's true. I could ask Joey. I probably ought to look him up and see if I can find him on the team roster. His name was well, see, now here I go. I'm having a senior moment. I can't remember his name. And he sat right beside me the last few years he worked. I see his face and I can't remember. It'll pop in my head in a minute. But I thought he played the year they were national champions. Maybe that's not what he said. He talked about Clemson all the time. So one of the reasons why I don't pull for him so much anymore is because I got tired of hearing him talk about it. You know how it goes. I'm, as someone pointed out to me yesterday, I guess I'm a dyed in the wool. My blood runs orange and white, whether I want to say it does or not. But interesting factoid. I grew up around not around, but watching University of Tennessee play football. Once they were on TV, before they were on TV, we always listened to the games on radio. And then, hey, Jason, welcome into the pool, Flipper. And but then they were on TV, so we watched them. And my grandparents, for years and years and years, had season tickets at the stadium. So if Tennessee was playing at home, they were always in Knoxville watching the games when they were able to travel. And then when they weren't, we were watching them on TV. And my grandfather could tell you whoever Tennessee player back then that had turned pro or something like that, he followed them through their careers. I mean, he was that dedicated. Sorry, hate to wipe my nose in front of everybody, but it's either that or watch it drip, and that's more embarrassing. So I guess I am, that kind of a Tennessee fan, but I'm not a rabid fan like people are around here at Knoxville. I don't wear orange. In fact, I had one UT T-shirt in my life, and well, maybe two, but one of those was just because I went to school there for maybe the ag department or something. But the other one was when they won the national championship in 1998, and that's pretty much it for me in Tennessee. But my parents ate it up. My mom and dad both were sports fans, so they were huge baseball fans. Went to a lot of Atlanta Braves baseball games after we grew up. After we left home, they took me one time, took us boys once, but they went after we got rid of us. They went all the time, which I guess is fair. Well, Flipper, I may read another chapter, so hang in there just a little bit longer if you can. Actually, I'd like to read one more so you guys get a better taste of Pat himself and his writings. Hang on just a moment, folks. Okay, I'm back. Yes, Kay, I know what you mean. Because Texas, UT, I've had that mix up too. UT fan. Oh, you're from Texas? No, not that UT. And they have orange and white, but their orange is a burnt orange. I don't know what Tennessee calls their orange. What's Clemson? How do they refer to their orange? They're all different, just a little bit. And then there's Syracuse, the Orangemen or whatever. Anyway, getting back to where I was going. what I learned a few years ago was interesting. The Tennessee's football stadium is built on and around what's actually the field itself is actually called Shields Watkins Field. And then the stadium they built around Shields Watkins Field is called Neyland Stadium. And then there's some other names in there somehow that they worked out. Well, it turns out that the Shields Watkins is actually in my family tree, so to speak. Not directly to me, but my aunt's that married my uncle, my dad's brother. Her family goes back to a ways back, and there was a group of them that were the Shields Watkins family that lived somewhere down near Knoxville here, and they actually donated the land that is now Tennessee's football stadium, and that's why it's called Shields. The grass itself is called Shields Watkins. Yeah, it's Shields Watkins football field, which was something I had no clue of until I got to studying, some history and genealogy and that sort of thing. Well, that's a good way to be, Don. And since they don't play each other very often, there's not, you don't have to run into too many conflicts there. But that's okay. I watch some Texas football every once in a while too, and they've been kind of like Tennessee lately. They've not always been on the upside of things. They've been kind of down in the valley so low, so to speak. Okay, I need to see a show of hands if anybody'd like to hear another chapter from the book, a real chapter now, not just an introduction. The title chapter for the book came from the first chapter, and it's actually pretty short. Oops. Well, not too long. So, yeah, it's a few pages. But it is a fine book, and I highly recommend them to anyone who's interested. And like Carol and I were discussing earlier, yeah, I knew theirs was a burnt orange, and I figured that out after really comparing the two. And there's a difference, because ask anybody that creates UT Tennessee clothing, licensed clothing or apparel, whatever you want to call it, it has to be an exact certain color of orange, or it don't count, and it's not considered legal. These football teams, they all get a Clemson orange. Well, that makes sense. They may even have it titled that. Okay, it's possible that they have a registered color of Clemson or orange that they have actually named that. For all I know, Tennessee may too. I'm not sure how that works. I just know that Texas is burnt orange. I do know that one because I figured that out myself one day and looked it up. What? Where are you taking a train to? You didn't invite me to go on the train. I'm hurt, Jason. I love trains. And you guys got me going down a whole nother trail too. One of the places would like to think I'm going to get to eventually is I got to check out the Erie Canal now, just because you and Tina were up there. I mean, that flung me down a whole new rabbit hole. Did you know there's tunnels at one of the major lock areas? Now I can't remember the name of the town. I've got bookmarks, and I've got stuff already stowed away in my computer files to find it and look at it. But there's an area up there closer towards the other end, well, closer to the Buffalo end, or Erie end, Buffalo end, I guess, where there's a bunch of tunnels and stuff along with the locks. Fascinating. Oh, really? Steam. I assume steam engine then. Okay, I did not know that. I've never paid attention to the scar on the large pad. I will have to look at that. reckon who put that scar on there? That'd be great, Tina. I mean, I would love to see that. I've always kind of wanted to go to New York, upstate New York. Cool. I love steam engines. I love trains, but steam engines are. I kind of draw the. I have to aesthetically, I draw the line at diesel electric stuff because it's just not pretty and it's not puffy and it makes a lot of noise and without a lot of redeeming features. But steam trains, now that's a different story. Richfield Springs. Well, I'll tell you right now, Jason, I'll be looking that up. What's the name of the railroad or whatever they call the scenic line? There's a few steam trains down here. Of course, Dollywood has one. And I've told some people on here about Tweetsy's Railroad. And that's the correct term, Jason. You must know more about this than you're letting on. Because live steam is a whole different thing. That's one of the things I loved about Walt Disney was his love for steam trains. And the ones he built and put in his backyard and the ones that his co-workers or employees built now if you've never read that book and it's over there on the bookshelf, I can't grab it right now, but it's about the steam trains and how Disney came about and how important the steam trains were to building Disneyland. And Walt's life was fascinating. And the guy that wrote it is Michael Broggie, who was Roger Broggie's son, and Roger Broggie was one of the 9 old men. I think he was at least an Imagineer early on that helped Walt build his first steam train, the one that ran in the backyard, the Lily Bell. Huh. Well, that's interesting, Kay. I'd never noticed that. I know, Tina. I realized that years ago because I knew somebody that went to the Finger Lakes area, and I've read a lot about the Adirondacks and history from that area. There's a lot of early American history from all up along, New York and the Canadian border and the Great Lakes, especially when it came to the Native Americans in those areas and stuff. And I've always been fascinated by that. And you're right, it's not all New York. When I was growing up, I thought it was just all one big city, but I've learned it's not, and I'd really like to get up there one day. There's a huge motorcycle rally up there in Lake George area called Americade every year, and it's sort of a Honda Goldwing thing. It's for touring. At least it started out that way. Well, I think it did. And I've never been, but I've thought about going. And this year it got kind of back going. A lot of those things kind of got stomped last year because of COVID. But so I do want to get up there. And the history of the Erie Canal and stuff I've read about, and it was always fascinating. But after I got to digging deeper, after Tina and Jason and them were over there a week or two ago, I got deeper down the hole and learned some things I didn't know about the canal and how it was built. And the guy that helped build those tunnels and things, God, I wish I could remember that town. Jason, you might know. It's where I think they call it the five lock steps or something like that. I probably got it saved, and I should have just looked that up. Oh, I didn't know Watkins. Also, Watkins Glen is up that way, which is a racetrack I've wanted to go to for a long time. It might be Lakeport or Lockport. I believe it's Lockport, Jason. But there's tunnels and stuff under there, and the guy that helped design or build some of that is famous for something I never knew about, and that's he created what they call the rotary steam engine, which is what a lot of the early fire departments used. They pulled it by horses, but he created this steam engine, and you've seen pictures of them in cartoons and things for years. They look like they've got a big pot or a smokestack on the back, and they're pulling it through the streets. He designed an engine or a steam engine that pumped water and created a lot of pressure so they could, put out fires in New York. And he was from New York, and I can't remember his name either right at the moment, but I have that information somewhere, and I'm sure that it's stowed away somewhere in brain cells. I will someday remember. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to look right now. Yeah, I've got. Maybe it's under travel, which is a T thing, isn't it? T word, isn't it? Well, maps, maybe. Well, I do have it. I don't see it. Anyway, of course, that got me all excited because I read about the steam engine that he created and built that was used all over the. No, that's not it. Anyway, I found that fascinating. So I want to get up there and I want to see some of those things. Lockport, okay. Well, Tina, I should have asked you too. Now, what do you? Flipper hasn't heard of Lockport. Yeah, I don't know how far it is from. How I got there, Jason, was I looked up. Where were you guys at? Little Falls or something like that, and I followed the canal back west towards. It's beginning or end. I guess depends on where you're at, and ended up at Lockport looking at the locks and because there's like stair steps of locks there, and then reading about these tunnels that are built in there in and around the locks and why they're there and how much this guy had to do with it. And it has something to do with water systems and stuff in that area. And it's really fascinating. Oh, so it's about 200 miles away from Tina. Well, it's, again, a big part of that state's pretty big up in there. So I'm not too surprised. I know that Tracy and Kenzie and folks went to Lake George where they have the motorcycle rally I was talking about. Tina, are you fairly close to that? Okay, but back to Rhonda. Got it right that time. Where did you go on a school trip? You talking about going to New York, or maybe that's where you're from? I don't know. Because somewhere here I lost track of that conversation. So, okay. There you're talking about the canal in Ohio. I mean, you're doing schoolwork. I'm sorry. Well, I'm glad you've taken some time off to join us this morning, Rhonda. I would hate to either hinder your learning or your teaching, whichever you're doing. Well, now I'll have to check that out, Rhonda. I did not realize that. Do they still call it the Erie Canal where it comes down to Kentucky? Sorry, guys. I just saw a mosquito fly by. I already killed one in here this morning. They don't bother me much, but they eat Brenda alive. Where are they coming from? She's had the doors open, feeding birds and doing stuff. I bet they came through the garage. Anyway, let me catch back up here. Aha, I see, Tina. Oh, this is good conversation then. You guys know about places I'd like to go see eventually. Oh, that's true. That's true, Flipper. You guys are from Boston. I forget that sometimes. And Tina's basically a native. I remember it. 15 miles on the Erie. Now, didn't the Tennessee Ernie Ford sung that, didn't he? Or is that a different song? You know, we look at that today as creating. Now, wait a minute. I've been around what do you mean, Hocking Hills? I've been to now parts of southern Ohio. I've been in. Had some friends that lived in Jackson, and a buddy of mine went to school up in Hocking Tech, which is near Athens. I don't know if that's the Hocking Hills area or not. Now, I've heard of that battlefield, Tina. That's not Tina. That's not the battlefield where Herkimer was killed, was it? I mean, maybe it is. Okay, so I'm in the right place. I've been a little bit in that area. I've actually deer hunted up in there and turkey hunted a little bit. My friends, I think, again, I'm ashamed to say this. I think they still live. A couple people I know still live there, and their son is actually the one I'm trying to locate in Wyoming that retired this year. That's why I know about him. He's such a good guy too. I really hate that we lost track. Health problems have a way of doing that to people. That's part of my excuse. That's probably not a good one, but I wasn't as mobile and I couldn't go out there and hike the hills and run the country that I used to be able to with him. So I know that had something to do with it. I hate to always, get on here, get on the phone and just tell people how messed up I am. I'd rather be doing funner things. Things that are more fun. Funner things is probably not good English, is it? Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'll have to look into that, Rhonda. Thanks for the info. Carol, we need to talk about this maybe off to the side. I know Ohio State and Michigan people don't tend to get Michigan University. It is the University of, isn't it? Or is it or is it Michigan University or University of Michigan or neither? I know that Ohio State Michigan rivalry is a big deal too up there. I forgot about that. Good job, Carol. UOM. Okay, I thought it was. And I knew it wasn't state. I apologize earlier for bringing that up and insulting, one of my best friends here. So Teddy was a little upset about that with me. He thought I might, he might lose his fan club. So I'm sorry. I might if I if I caused yeah, just a little bit, though. Tina, I don't know if it's history itself. Okay, I've lost. I'm. Oh, Okay, Rhonda, so I'm on the same page. You're talking about Michigan State versus Michigan fans, green and blue. Is that what you're trying to say? Because I want to make sure I'm on the right page. Clemson fans are not fans of Ohio either after the Buckeye. Oh, my God. That goes back a long ways, Kay. Bucky Hayes. Maybe I've got the wrong guy. I was thinking about what was their coach? What was Ohio State's coach's name for so many years that punched the guy out on the sidelines? Woody Hayes. Is that who you're talking about? Was that against you guys? I couldn't remember. I remember that football game, but I couldn't remember who they were playing. Well, Flipper, you do that. Take some pictures or some video. Let us know about it. You've got my curiosity all aflutter. And I don't think you ever did tell me the name of the railroad, did you? I'll have to go back up and look. So hi to Tina and everybody, the kids, and have fun up there. Let's see. Okay. You know what, Kay? I didn't remember that. I didn't remember who they were playing, but I remember that. I remember them showing that on the news and everything else replay where he reached out there and clubbed that guy. I can't remember, but did that cost him his job, or was that something else he did later? Because it seems like he kept coaching for a while after that. No, I like college football. I'm not a rabid fan, but I don't really like pro football. So I tend to watch college football. I try to at least convince myself that it's a pure form of the sport, but it's probably not. But okay. Well, I will remember that. I'll have to check into that. I didn't realize it came down that far. I'm not terribly surprised, but you don't hear as much about that section as you do the upper part. Interesting. Ah, I see, Rhonda. Amazing blue. She said no. She said green was better than blue, didn't she? Okay, guys, I need to come in and peacemake here. I don't have enough fans and subscribers to. Oh, thank you, Rhonda. I will look at that. Oh, which reminds me, I was going to put Brenda's. Geez, guys, I'm sorry. I was going to put Brenda's website up. Let me find that. Oh, I got to remember exactly how to get there. She's been my favorites. She better be my favorite rider. I'm in big trouble. Miss Pearl's in my favorites. Sunny. Oh, I know what it is. I think it's bad. I never can find Brenda's site. It takes me a few minutes to always find it. Sunny Windows Creations, I believe, but it seems like that doesn't get you there directly. That's not getting me there. What am I doing wrong here? Okay. She's working on some new stuff, by the way, that's really it's going to be really cool. She's got some new embroidery patterns that she's putting on some stuff right now. I'd show you if I had it down here. She does a lot of aprons. She can make anything that she sets her mind to, but she's been doing aprons for a good while, and likes doing them. That's not it. What am I doing wrong here? Anyway, she's got some new Halloween stuff, and she's making some new aprons on some Halloween material that she already had on hand. I don't know if you've ever looked at. I sent somebody some pictures one time. Maybe I didn't actually put it online, but she's got a room full of material. She's been stockpiling material for a long time, and she really likes retro type aprons and retro patterns and retro material, that stuff that looks like, I hate to say this, but when we grew up and before. That apron she's made, that looks like one of hers, but that's not it. Don't anybody tell her I can't find her apron. Her shop, I mean. I've got some of your all's pages in here, but like Pearls and Tina Marie's and History's Fine Arts. And why do I not have hers? Hang on just a minute, guys. Let me mute again here so I can yell. I have to yell upstairs. But I must have put in something wrong. I'm trying to find it, folks. I want to put it in here just because somebody mentioned it. And I try to get her to Sunny Windows Creations, Tina, is what I always knew it as, but I'm beginning to think she's got it listed as something else. I even made her a Sunny Windows logo once, but with a cat laying in the window, and I think she still got that on there. Oh, there's a cat that looks like Tedward. Well, crap. This is embarrassing. Not to mention the fact she's probably going to whop me over the head if she finds out I can't figure out her webpage. And it's not that I haven't been there. I have many times. Why is it not in my favorites? Hang on, I know how to get in touch with her. She's upstairs. I'll call her. I think she went back to sleep on me. Let's see if she answers. Hey, Jonathan.
Hello.
How do I get to your webpage? Everybody's listening to you online right now, so don't call me bad names and don't act like you're asleep. Well, how do you get your Etsy page? I can't seem to get there today.
www.etsy.com.
I know how to get to Etsy. I'm on Etsy.
Sunnywindows.etsy.com. Sunny Windows 57.
Sunny Windows 57. Aha! I found it, Tina. All right, let me see if I can't give them this. If you'd stayed online, you could have helped us promote your own business here. I'm always trying to get you to do this. You just refuse to blow your own horn.
Still your.
What? Bye. I don't know if you guys can tell that, but I believe she's half asleep. It is SundayWindows.com. Or Sunny Windows 57, Tina. Tina said hi, but I hung up because I wasn't sure she was being coherent. That's not right. That ain't it. Well, I can't get to her actual page. I found the information on it. See what this does, guys. I'm going to type in a link. See if that takes anybody to where they need to go. Well, I'll check it. That's it. That's it. She has some stuff on there. She doesn't have as much as she did have. She went through a spell where she sold a lot of stuff, and she hasn't completely rebuilt her catalog, if you will. Looks like she's only got about 9 or 10 things on there right now. She's working on some October and fall aprons, and like I said, if I had that, excuse me, if I had them down here, I'd show you. But if I had that, she put some kind of it's got something about a witch in the kitchen, but I can't remember the whole thing. You should bring that down and let me look at it, or let me show it to these fine folks. Anyway, it's pretty cool. I like it a lot. He who tooteth not his own horn, the same shall not be tooted. I think I get that, Carol or Dawn. Yeah, she's really. I mean, most of her stuff is retro patterns. She finds and buys old patterns that aren't no longer in circulation in some cases. She's got some really old ones that she inherited, I guess you could say, from her grandmother and her mother. And then some of them she's made are newer. The ones I really like are one of the patterns I really like is not on here. She's making one of those right now for whomever. But she's got a few scattered around the country. I say that like she's, sold bazillions. She hasn't sold bazillions, but she sold. So, she says she's got the shop on break right now. I didn't notice that. I'm going to have to wake that back up. She needs to sell these other aprons here. A couple of Christmas aprons left. I like the one with the snowman, too. Copy and paste that in my YouTube. Well, I never thought about that, Tina. See, I'm still not so savvy with this stuff. How do I get there? Oh, shoot. Hang on. I dropped the cup over. Brenda, I need help. Sorry, guys. And I know I probably yelled in the microphone, so sorry. Let me drop some paper towels here. Okay, this is what happens when a crippled man starts trying to do stuff. He knocks everything over and makes a bigger mess than he started with. All right, guys, thanks for bearing with me there. I've not got it cleaned up, but I'll finish that later. I'll have to figure that out, Tina, but I'll do that. Okay. Now I can't find where I'm at. There I am. Okay, guys, what time is it? This is falling off the rails. I'm falling off the rails fast here, so I guess it's time to go. Well, I spilled stuff and knocked stuff off my desk. I've got stuff went everywhere, but I'm surviving. You didn't have to bring down any of that Halloween apron stuff you're working on, did you? I am. Well, I had paper towels. You have been asleep. Let me have the other. I don't need that right now. Give me the other. All right, guys, before I run everybody off, here's some of the stuff she's been working on. Here's one of them. Now, you're going to put this on an apron, maybe? Are you going to use this one or the white one, or both? This one's going on the witchy material you've got. Okay, yeah, she's going to put this on like as a pocket or the front or something of some other witchy material. And she's got this one. I like this one. I like how it looks. And, you know, it wouldn't be opposed if we had a brewery, but yeah, Salem Brewery, wicked good brew or beer. Fit. So that's going to go on another one. I told her she needs to jump on the Halloween bandwagon. I mean, that's such a popular holiday these days that, you know, she has sold some Halloween aprons. I wish I had pictures of them. I don't know if they're still on there somewhere. Maybe they are, but I don't know. Can you see the ones you sold?
I don't know if everybody can or not.
There's some of the stuff I dropped. I guess you don't have to take it if it's going to be a problem carrying it. Like I said, I've got paper towels down here. I dumped my cup and made a mess. Oh no, he got on for a little while, but he's not awake now. Even spilling stuff doesn't wake him up. She's got some other stuff she's working on. She didn't bring this one down. She's actually making me an apron. She's been, you know how this goes. The husband always gets, you know, he kind of gets pushed back. Everybody else gets their aprons first. But
like having a plumber in the house.
Okay, yeah, like a water plumber.
Yeah, but you can never get your plumbing fixed.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. If I was the plumber, all my pipes would leak or whatever it was. She's the seamstress. I don't ever get my aprons, but she's working on a shop apron for me. I used to wear shop aprons all the time when I was out in the garage working, and even when I was working on airplanes, because I did a lot of sheet metal work, so I always had tools and stuff in the pockets of my aprons, and it kept my uniforms from getting so nasty. But, click on the 80 items sold. Yes. She's got some, she should have some, there should be some of the old, 80 sales. There should be some of her old Halloween stuff on there. Oh, yeah. I like that one. It has the trees and the guide stuff on it too. There's some other Christmas ones, cupcakes. There's a Jack Skellington. I thought that was a good one. I mean, I thought a lot of people would like that one. I really like the one, if you see it, it says La Femme El Zombie. I thought that was a really good one last year she did for Halloween. I can't remember where that one went, but and there's another one here somewhere that I thought it actually didn't sell nearly as quickly as I thought it would. There's a black and orange one with pumpkins on it. Halloween Pumpkins is called. And a Little Helper Halloween one up there. There's one with spiders on it. I thought that one was really cute. Another one with spiders.
You want to show off your...
Yeah, let me have that. This is one of the things she's going to put on my apron, the shop apron. I don't know how well this will show up on the camera, but we'll try it. Let me see here. Let me go back to the camera so I can see what I'm doing. Can you guys see that? This looks, it doesn't say it, this is what it is, but this looks very much like I've got I've actually got 3 bikes out in the garage, but my one that I've ridden a lot and put a lot of miles on, I've got about 65,000 miles on this one. Looks pretty much exactly like this. The blue might be a little lighter, but so I got her we found this, or she found this, and I asked her to put this on my apron. How long did you say it took to do this? 2 hours or something?
No, that's about a 3-hour project.
Yeah, about a 3-hour. All the stitching took 3 hours. That's by machine to change the threads and get it all right on her embroidery machine. But I thought that was handsomely done. And there's a couple of more older things that she's been working on too. So eventually I will get my motorcycle shop apron. I'm pretty sure. And put the link in her Etsy shop and all your videos. You know what? I need to start doing that. I will try to do that, Dawn. That's a good point. Put your link in all my stuff. There was another one I really liked that was Halloweeny that I haven't found here yet. But if you've got a minute and you're interested in things like that, look through the stuff. Oh, this might be it. Although I can't really show that one, I don't guess. Oh no, won't let me pull it because it says it's unavailable. But I think I know how I can do it. See if this works. I'm gonna plug in another link here. Yeah, she's a very good sewer, seamstress. She don't always want to admit it. She always, and I'm guilty of this too. I never think my stuff's good enough. But just like most artists or people who create things, they always, aren't sure. And but look on that page. If you look down at the bottom of that page, there's an apron down there that has pumpkins on it. That's Alexander Henry, witches and jack-o'-lanterns. I like that. I really like that apron pattern, but you can't really see much. That picture doesn't. Come here. Oh, the old man's here yelling at me. You can't see the whole thing, but I really like that pattern. I call it petals, but that's probably not what it's really called. And then there's a couple of Christmas aprons in there, but take a look. She does have a few things for sale right now, but she's back on her sewing machine working again. So, she takes breaks and doesn't do it. But there's some Mardi Gras stuff, which I thought were really cute. In fact, maybe there was another one of those I think maybe that I really liked too. She used to make, when I did muzzle loading, rendezvousing, and that sort of thing. That's this is no, it's mine, Rhonda. It's my old man. He's our resident cat that gets up in the window and yells, "Stay off the grass, kids! Get off my lawn!" But most of the time he yells at me about something. Tina, you trying to give away your dogs? Oh. And then he does that and tears my neck up. Get down. If you're not going to be still, get down. He is, I don't know if it's old age. He's about 20. And he gets around pretty good for his age, but he is ornery. And he's gotten to where at night, if I don't go up to bed at a certain time, because he gets a treat. He gets a little snack, one of those push tube things. I don't know if Tina knows about it, but Kay may. I know a couple of people and I've talked about that. It's like cocaine for cats. Once they start eating it, they love it and they just want it. And he gets one at night when we go to bed, don't you? But he thinks he should get it anytime I come upstairs, so he's always down here yelling at me like he wants me to come upstairs. Yeah, he's my parrot, all right. You gonna hop down? He's a good cat, but he's getting ornery in his old age. Tina, it might be the all caps you put it in. That you might be overselling that well-behaved part. Just saying. Anyway, that's Brenda's apron site, and I'm sure she'll be putting some more stuff on there now because, a little encouragement never hurts. She's made some kids' clothing, too. Oh, there was the Feeling a Little Witchy. Did you see that one? I wish that showed up better. I wish you could see all the actual pictures from what we originally put up, which I'm sure I have somewhere, and I could put them out so you can see the whole things, because some of them you really need to see. Usually when we put up, or she puts up, or I used to do her photography stuff, we'd usually put up 5 or 6 pictures of everything she did, some close-ups of the material, of course, some back shots, some detail shots of pockets and ruffles and that kind of stuff, just so if somebody was looking at the work, they'd get a good idea of what was there. And I don't know, there's one picture here. It shows she's got a mannequin that she works with, and she's got a small mannequin. She does kids' clothes too, and she's done some. We sent, and I think there's a picture on there, maybe on her Instagram page, Zippity Doodad and Nicole, when the little Jack was born, we sent them something, and they put pictures of it that she made. It's like a little boy's outfit with cowboys on it and stuff. And then we sent something to Triple P's and Brittany. I can't remember what she got. She goes by Britt, doesn't she? And for their youngest one, when she was born. So she's made, and she sold some other people. She's did a couple of christening gowns, and she thought she might like to do that. She really likes to work with lace and stuff. She's actually bought lace from all over the world. She ordered some out of China one time because it was really unique and handmade. And of course, I guess everybody thinks, well, everything's in China, but this was a little bit different. And I think she's ordered some out of Great Britain too, a time or two. She likes lace. Like I said, she's got her sewing room is well stocked with material. Yeah, her work is good. If you look at the reviews and things she's gotten from people that have received her work, and she's been sewing a long time. Like I said, she used to sew clothes for me when I was doing reenactments and Revolutionary War, fur trade era stuff, and muzzle loading and that sort of stuff. Now, she didn't do leather stuff for me. I did some of that I had, but she did all the cloth. And in fact, she used to make colonial style shirts from an old pattern we found that I used to take with me to kind of pay for my trip. I'd sell 15 or 20 or 30 of them every time we went somewhere, because everybody was always looking for a clean shirt or a new shirt. So we found we'd make those out. She made those out of linen, in some cases, a lot of gingham. And I used to wear some of them around the house because they were comfortable. And some pants or breeches, knee length stuff for that kind of reenactors. And I've got some of that. She used to do beadwork also, and I've got some really beautiful beadwork she did that I can't find. I've stored it somewhere, and we're trying to find it. She took a white buckskin. I think it's a deer. I don't believe it's elk. I had some elk skins too. She took a white one though and beaded it up and made a beaded rifle case for me to put one of my muzzle loaders in when I went to Rendezvous. And it is absolutely gorgeous. And I can't find it. I've got to figure out where that's at, because I thought it was in a box in my closet here stored, or I have a chest over here that a friend of mine made for my birthday, and he actually got me to help him build it. And I thought it was for somebody else, and we built it. We blacksmith hand forged the hinges and the straps and the handles and stuff for it, and then it turned up at my house on my birthday, so it was always for me. But I thought it was in that. I'd had that in storage for a while because I just didn't have a place for it, but it's not in there, so I'm on a search for that rifle case, not because I want to put a rifle in it, but because the beadwork on it was so well done. Anyway, she did a lot of that kind of stuff. Yeah, she does that, and we used to go around and look for old material in like antique stores and things, Jonathan, to repurpose, and she has done that too. She finds old material that might have been sewn into a set of curtains or something. If it's good enough quality or still in shape, she'll take that and repurpose it and make it into an apron or something new, but it's with the old material. We were doing that for a little while, and that was fun just because we got out and got to do the antique thing and look for it. And she has messed around with that kind of clothing and stuff too a few times for people. She hesitates. Again, I think she doubts her work, and she really does good work. So one of these days, maybe she'll realize how good she is, and I won't have to beat her with a big stick. But if any of you guys know, most of the people in here at some point are creators in some fashion. I mean, Carol may not do videos on the YouTube, and I'm not sure if you've got any or not, but you create in school for your kids, I'm sure, all the time. And others of you in here are creating. You know how it is. You never think your stuff's good enough. I'm pretty sure mine's not good enough, but I'm working on it. And, it's just like my writing. I think sometimes I quit writing because I didn't think it was good enough. But then again, some people said it was good, so I need to get back on that. But we never, we always doubt ourselves more than we doubt other people. It's easy to brag on. It's easy for me to brag on Brenda's work and tell you how good it is because I know what it is. I know how much time she spends on it. I know how important it is to her for it to be correct at all times. In fact, I've seen her throw stuff away because it had a small mistake in it. She won't sell it. I mean, I've got a knife, and I'm kind of that way. I've got a knife here. I made this knife years ago, kind of from scratch. I had the metal already, but I made this knife. If I can get it out. And I didn't ever sell it or give it to anybody because it's got this little defect, right, in the handle there, where it's got kind of a gap, and most people would never even see it. It's more or less right under my finger there. And because to me, that was a mistake and it didn't come out right. So I didn't want anybody else to have it. So I kept it. Of course, I actually built it because I liked this style knife for myself anyway. So it kind of worked out, but it's just one of those things. I think most of us struggle with that. I think creators of any kind that can get past that have really jumped a big hurdle. And, yeah, I mean, I've always been my worst critic. Brenda's gotten on me many times for that. And in some ways, you guys have. I mean, you guys have. Some of you keep showing up to my chats, and I don't know why. I'm just talking and being me, but so far that's paying off a little bit. Not paying off. Don't pay off. But if I've got friends that show up to talk, and listen to me go on and on and on, then I must be doing something right. She's not paying, Brenda's not paying you guys to be here, is she? I hadn't thought of that till just now. Maybe that's how come you show up. That's a real good point, Tina. You know, if you've heard this before, you may know this. I'm not going to. It's true, Jonathan. You know, Tina, all, true Persian rugs or that type of rug are made by hand and knotted and tied and they're intricate as they can be and they're beautiful. But, you know, there's always at least one mistake in every Persian rug. You and I may never find that mistake, but the one that makes it knows it's there. And one of the reasons they do that is they say that only God is perfect. So, you know, I'll give them credit for that. They don't try to be perfect, but yet their work is intricate and exquisite in many cases. So, so you're not getting paid, Tina. Well, that's good to know. I mean, if I do need to throw money at some people, I will. I just need to know who to send it to. I mean, Garrett's always getting money from him, but he pays me to be. I mean, I pay him to be on his streams. I'm not sure how that works. That's right, Pearl. A lot of them do that, and especially certain groups who are, especially, you know, back here in this part of the world, a lot of church women, groups of women have quilting bees and stuff, so they would do stuff like that. Wait a minute, Jonathan. Garrett pays you for moderating? Oh, when he does. Okay, I was going to say, I thought he charged us to moderate. Well, you could be right, Tina. I mean, that's what I know. Some people do think that, and I'm not disagreeing. I'm just, you know, I know I'm not perfect, and I worry that I'm too imperfect sometimes. But then again, I don't consider myself a bad person for it. I just don't know if I'm good enough to impress anybody else, I guess. So I've managed to sit here and do this for a long time again. So it's probably time to let folks go on to other worthwhile adventures and get out of here. It's been 2 hours, 35 minutes, and 55 seconds. Wow. You too, Tina. Yeah, everybody else used to talk about, hey, you get paid to be a moderator, and we all had to tell them, no, we have to pay Garrett. I thought that's how it worked. Guess what Garrett said? He said all moderators had to pay their live streamers because that's, you know, for the honor of being there. And of course, we all know we're joking, but it's good for a laugh. And Tina, if he made you a moderator, I do not doubt at all but what he said that, because we've all given him talked about it a fair bit. And I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, it is an honor to be a moderator for most of these folks that I've been made moderators for. And in fact, I worry that I don't do a good enough job. So I hope I do. That's right, Jonathan. Go ahead and tell her how it works. Bust the bubble, because it ain't all fun and games when you're one of Garrett's moderators, I tell you. Well, Dawn, that would be good. We've talked about doing a little bit of Halloween decorating this year, but we haven't really done it. It's hard for me to get out on a ladder and do that kind of stuff. In fact, there's a ladder sitting here, and I've been forbidden to change the light bulb with it because she don't want me to try to get on the ladder. So we'll see. Whoa, wait a minute. Nice try. Nice, Tina. I fell asleep shortly after seeing the last pineapple boat carved out. You know, I didn't hang around last night for that. I wasn't feeling well. My leg was really hurting after being x-rayed and examined and tugged on and pulled yesterday all day, or yesterday afternoon. So I left early last night. How did that turn out? Somebody that was there, did the what was it, po chicken or pua chicken or whatever, or poga poga. What was it? Was it poga poga chicken? Oh yeah, Don, do that. That'd be great. If we put up anything, I'll try to do that too. Tina's always watching. I thank you, Tina, for that. It makes me feel honored that you guys even feel that way. So, in fact, I'll be honest, I'm honored you're here at all. So I am humbled by that. Probably more than I act like. Pango chicken, and it looked well good. I'm glad something turned out good. I have to turn away when Michelle's using her knives. I've talked about this before. That girl needs that. No offense, that woman needs some knife sharpening. I volunteered if she wanted to send them to me. I'd sharpen them for her. I'm afraid she's going to get hurt one of these days trying to cut something and it won't cut through and ends up cutting her. I know sharp knives, you got to be careful with a sharp knife, but more people get cut by dull knives, so I'd love to sharpen hers for her. I'm glad. That's good. Because a couple of things I know haven't always turned out the best, but of course I give her a lot of credit for experimenting and trying. I mean, I think she'd tell you she's not the world's greatest cook, but she's trying. Of course, I'm not sure Garrett eats it or not, but yes, they are, Don. They're much. I think I've always been told that and believe that to be true. Now I've cut myself on sharp knives, but it's usually out of doofusness, not because I did something. Not because the knife did something, but I've been wounded by dull knives more than once trying to do something they wouldn't do. Well, you guys have seen some of my sharper knives, so you know how I feel about it. Yep, they are. You have to force them. You have to push them harder. You have to force them to cut something, and invariably you end up slipping or breaking something or it going into something, or and I mean a dull knife, it still will cut you, and at least in most cases, although I have my doubts about some of Michelle's, but I hate to say that. I probably shouldn't say it out loud, but I did offer to sharpen her. If she wanted to send them to me, I told her I'd sharpen them up and send them back. I actually considered buying them a gift one time and sending her a couple of sharp new chef's knives just so they would be really nice and sharp. That's good. Maybe she got her knife sharpened. I thought about sending her a knife sharpener they could use on the countertop, but I wasn't sure about that. I'm making fun of it, but I'm serious. I did. I thought about it because it was really hard for me to watch some of the slicing and dicing they've done. Oh, Tina, that's I don't know about my mom. I don't know if my mom sharpened her knives, but I probably did for her, but sometimes. But man, I worked in. I said I was leaving. I tell this. I worked in a slaughterhouse one summer. I wasn't working on the floors. I was working a construction project with somebody, and we were putting in an addition to the building and electrical wiring and a freezer and that kind of stuff. But I used to watch those butchers that cut up. All they did all day long was cut beef and sharpen. And they had these special, butcher knives that they used, certain style, and they pretty much all used them. I'm sure they had cleavers and stuff too for cutting big chunks of it, but most of them had this one particular style of knife that they used, and they would use those things until they were literally worn out. And they would sharpen them constantly or real regularly on a steel, and they could really use a steel. I mean, they were fast. And I never saw anybody cut themselves with them, but they could work that beef. Let me see if I need to catch up here for her. I'd like to see her cut the pineapples. I love pineapple. Well, you got to be careful with sharp knives, but they'll do the job a lot easier. They make the work go a lot better, and you know, it's nice to cut through a tomato and not just smush it into tomato sauce. Tina, you do way more than you're letting on. I mean, I know better. You and Stacy, and there's 2 or 3 others that I'm amazed sometimes how quickly you catch things and how quickly they disappear. And I'm usually sitting there trying to figure out what to do, and you guys have already got it taken care of. I'm laughing at Tina's comment there. You know, you guys know, or maybe you have realized by now that I have a thing for knives, and I've always liked blades and pocket knife. I have carried a pocket knife with me since I was a kid, and I had a couple of uncles that gave me knives when I was probably on the hairy edge of being too young. I think my mom thought I was. You know, I probably got my first pocket knife from one of my uncles when I was 7 or 8 years old, if not sooner. And I always wondered why I'd put them on I'd always take them out of my pocket and set them on like the TV or something at night. And somehow they'd always get missing. And I finally figured out that Mom, I think, was doing something with them. But, you know, I never really cut myself with one of them. I was pretty safe with them. I was a Boy Scout and learned how to handle, and the Boy Scout way of being safe and all that. But I've carried a pocket knife with me for years. I carried one particular knife with me for almost 20 years, and it was so long. It had wooden handles, or scales as we call them, that they're just on the outside of the knife body. It was a folding knife. Had a lock back, so you could open it and it would lock and it wouldn't close up on you. And I carried that thing for so long in my pocket every day that it actually literally wore the wood down on both sides on one end. It must have been how I always stuck it in my pocket a certain way, because it wore the wood down to the metal, and it was just about gone. I mean, in that respect. And when my uncle died, one of the ones that gave me my first knives, I think he gave me my first knife. At least I believed he did. And when he died, I put it in his pocket in the coffin, and as my way of saying goodbye, because, I figured he gave me my first pocket knife. I could give him his last pocket knife. Oh, Don, you need to show us, because I bought Brenda a new one recently for her birthday, because she was always borrowing mine. So I said, it is time to get you a new knife. In fact, I bet I could link that and show you what it looks like. Hang on just a moment. She's had a lot of comments on it. She posted it somewhere. Might have been on Facebook. You got your pocket knife handy? Shame on you. Where's that at? This is what Brenda's looks like that I bought her for her birthday. Now, before you make fun of me, also one time for Christmas, I gave her a pistol. So, I'm just that kind of guy. Funny story about this knife. This company that's on the screen, if you open that link, called Blade HQ. And they kept getting people asking for a certain type knife. It was called a Desert Warrior by the colors, and it was like a desert camo or desert brown kind of knife. And but people kept spelling desert wrong, and they'd spell it dessert. They'd say, we'd like to order a Desert Warrior. So they finally made a dessert knife for people to so people could actually have a Desert Warrior. So this is what it looks like, and it looks like a sprinkles on a pink cake. Hey, Dave, welcome back, buddy. Oh, I probably worry my wife too, Tina, about now. I mean, I'm always, especially since I've been laid up lately, I got my knives out. I found my whetstones again, my sharpening tools, and I've been down here working on knives for weeks. Just, I used to spend a lot of time when I was just sitting around watching TV or writing. I could sit and calm my nerves, rest my mind, whatever, by just sitting there sharpening my knives and taking care of that kind of stuff. And I have guns. I won't lie. I don't consider myself a gun nut. I don't have any assault weapons, but I do have guns. I've got historical based guns. I've got older antique guns. Those are the ones I like best, actually. Yeah, what do you think about that, Carol? Isn't that something neat? I liked it, so I bought her one. I thought she likes the color, so I did good. If I'd bought her just some, utilitarian knife that was ugly, she probably would never carried it. And this one she usually has in her pocket now. I've seen her sticking out of her pocket quite a few times. Well, that's the problem, though, Tina. I mean, how often do you go borrow them? If you don't borrow his, then he probably doesn't think you need one. She got to where she was always coming to me to borrow one, and then she'd fuss because she either couldn't figure out how to open mine or couldn't figure out what it was, because I've got kinds that open different and shut different, have locks on them, and I said, well, okay, then so I bought this for her birthday. I actually managed to keep it a surprise till the day I gave it to her. And so now she's figured it out, and she doesn't have to borrow mine all the time, except yesterday. She was working outside and had forgotten to put it in her pocket. So she was back in here borrowing a knife again. Is that right, Rhonda? Well, I don't have a Glock. I didn't know they didn't tip pizza drivers. That's not cool. Okay, I got to catch up here for a minute. Yeah, I got her a knife. I got her a pistol too, and everybody made fun of that. Of course, I've shot it a lot more than she has. I mean, it was just a target pistol kind of thing, but I wanted her to have a hobby to share with me, and I guess. And the knife's kind of the same way, but the knife is something she uses a lot, so I didn't feel so bad about that. And that way, I also told her that way if she gets it out in the dirt and rocks and dulls it, I can resharpen it for her, but she's not dulling mine up like that. Well, Rhonda, I hate that. Where in the world did you run into that many Glock employees? Did you deliver to a factory or something over here? Oh, well, of course, they'd make you travel the furthest and then not tip you. See, I probably didn't used to be the best tipper in the world. I tipped, but I probably didn't tip enough. I'd do a lot better about that now. I mean, I don't know about up where you are, but down here, restaurant workers, especially waitresses and stuff, don't make diddly. They're allowed to pay them. Love to collect Sherman tanks, Dave. Well, that'd be a good hobby. I don't think I could. I'm not sure I could afford to buy them. If I could, that'd be fun. Oh, down near Atlanta. Yeah, I might have known that. I think Taurus has offices down there too, and there's motorcycle companies now that import Triumph's got offices in Atlanta. There's a bunch of people that do that. Sherman tanks would be fun. There's actually a company out there that's made some knives out of tank parts. I can't remember the name, but they actually took a tank, like a World War II tank, and cut it up and took the steel that was good and made knives out of it, just to say they were made out of Sherman tanks and stuff. Well, that's not good. They should be. There's no. I mean, if somebody's going to drive all the way out here and bring me a pizza, I'm going to tip them. Well, Carol, I appreciate that. Thank you for coming. I'm getting ready to shut down. I need to shut down, let everybody go, but it has helped. It's always helpful to talk with you guys and kind of spill out what's going on or let people know what's going on with me and why I've not been around as much lately because I've been hurting a lot. But I'm trying to get back online, get on people's chats and support them. I feel like if I don't support them, then I shouldn't expect them to support me. So, and you guys, most of you guys that are here right now have been my stoutest supporters, and I appreciate and love y'all for it. So I really do. Well, I can understand that. I've kind of done that too, Rhonda, in my life. There's some places I haven't my shadow hadn't crossed their doorway in a long time because of those similar ideas. Hang in there, Tina. Remember, dogs are man's best friends. Oh, maybe they're not woman's best friend, eh? Oh, well, yeah, I'm sure it has an iron fence around it. That's true. Thank you, Carol. If you're still here, Carol, thank you for being here, and have a good day and safe on your errands, and everybody else too, for that matter. And with that, I believe that I'm going to shut down. Be on the lookout. I'm going to look into posting a few chapters from this book and maybe some other ones in the near future. Stuff that's not out there, not necessarily on audio that people can buy. I just like to read to introduce people some authors that I think are worth reading. And yeah, I'm sure they're ready to get out, Tina. Dogs are like that. Some cats are like that. My cats don't want to go outside, so we don't have a problem with that. But our cats have been indoor cats, and they pretty much don't even want to go out the door. All right, everybody. Rhonda, thank you. Tina, thank you. Dave Cantrell, I appreciate you for coming by twice, actually. Jonathan, it has been a pleasure, sir, to have you in my chat today. And Kay, thank you for coming. I hope you have a better week than you've had. You deserve it, and I hope it's coming. There's sunshine out there. Just let it warm you up a little bit. Let it get to you. Feel it. Don't fight it off. It's out there, and we're here for you. So just don't forget that. Dawn, I appreciate you being here for a long time. I appreciate you being here today. As always, I'll see you guys Tuesday night, I hope. And anyway, I guess that's it. I'll come up with something to talk about next week a little bit. Talked a little bit about Pat McManus. We talked about health issues. Next week, I'm not going to bother you guys with that stuff. It's too depressing. But I appreciate you listening and being concerned. And I appreciate your words of encouragement. So, I'll get through it eventually and get feeling better, I hope. And maybe I can get through some more rehab, and maybe this time I can get at least more mobile, because I'm going to ride a motorcycle again somewhere in my life. So see you guys in chats later, maybe today, maybe tomorrow. If not, then certainly next week. And everybody have a great weekend. Here it looks like it's shaping up to be a really nice one, so I hope it continues. And as I usually say, if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise between now and next Saturday, I'll see you then. Oh, I may not see you then. Wait a minute. I might try to do something live, although I don't think it'll work, but I may try it. Next Saturday is the National Pumpkin Weigh-In Day for all the great pumpkins in America. So places all over the country, different states, have official pumpkin weigh-in stations, and people take their giant pumpkins there and they weigh them in on the first Saturday in October. I think there's some places that do it on different days too, but I think that's the official day. And I think this year Brenda and I are going to try to ride down there. We didn't go We didn't go last year because of COVID, so I think we're going to try to ride over there this year and take a look around and see what kind of pumpkins they've got this year. I don't know what kind of year it's been for growing season. Some years it's too hot, some years it's too wet, some years it's too dry. Some years they've got pumpkins that weigh 14, 15, 1,600 pounds. So I'll try to get down there, and if I can, I'll try to record it and do a video. So I probably won't be on live next Saturday. If I think I can, I may post something and try it, but I'm not sure what kind of connection I'd have down there and stuff. They're kind of in the middle of nowhere, which doesn't mean they don't have good internet. They might have great internet, so I'll find out. But if I can, I'll at least do some video and try to do a vlog about it. So it's a pretty big festival for that part of the state. It's kind of in the middle. It's up near where, if anybody knows who Alvin York is, it's near where Alvin York lived. He was a Tennessee hero from World War I that got all kinds of medals of honor and plume de guerres from France and England. I mean, he was famous. Oh, what's his name? There's a movie about him, and I can't remember the actor's name who played him in the movies. Anyway, yeah, there are, Tina. Sometimes there's lots. So I might give it a try. We'll see. Alvin York. Well, who played his part? Gary Cooper. Gary Cooper played the part of Alvin York in the movie a long time ago. Anyway, thanks, guys, for being here. Everybody have a great weekend. I can't wait to be back with you again either next week or the weekend after. Except if I've got a signal, I might try to live stream from down there. I've not done that yet. I've not done a remote live stream. And I've been wanting to try it, so who knows? Maybe I'll give it a try next Saturday from up on the mountains and see what happens. Anyway, see you guys. I'm going to sign it off. Have a great day. Thank you, everybody.